Welcome back, students. This is the last part of demand analysis. This is the part 5, and in this part 5 we are going to discuss variations in demand. Variations in demand. Here we have to discuss expansion and contraction, increase and decrease. So one by one we will discuss variations in demand. When the demand for a commodity falls or rises due to the change in price alone, that means price is the only factor which is responsible for the change in demand, it is called as variations in demand. This variation is of two types. Number one, expansion of demand, and second, contraction in demand. So first understand expansion of demand. So here what you have to understand, that expansion and contraction, these variations are because of the change in price only. Other determinants of demand which we have discussed, fashion, taste, government policy, income, those factors are not responsible for the change in demand. Only price is the factor which is responsible for the change in demand. Now let us understand expansion of demand. Expansion of demand refers to rise in quantity demanded due to the price fall in the price alone. Other factors remain unchanged. Factors like taste, income of consumer, size of population, there is absolutely no part of these factors for the change in demand. Only price is the factor which is responsible for the change in demand. Demand moves downward direction in the same demand curve. In the diagram, see, this is a DD is the demand curve, OP is the original price, OQ is the original demand. Price falls to OP1, demand rises to OQ1. So when price falls, demand rises. It is called expansion. Q to Q1 is expansion. The downward movement from A to B shows that there is an expansion of demand. Next, contraction of demand. Contraction of demand means fall in demand due to the rise in price only. Other factors such as taste, income of the consumer, size of the population remain unchanged. So demand curve moves upward direction on the demand curve. Now here in this diagram, see, the original price is OP, the original demand is OQ, right? Price rises to OP2. Price rises to OP2 and demand falls to OQ2. Demand is falling because price is rising. This upward movement from A to B shows the contraction of demand. Higher the price, lower is the demand. This is contraction. Point A to B shows the contraction of demand. Now, changes in demand. In variation, there are only expansion and contraction. In changes in demand, there is increase in demand and decrease in demand. Let us understand that. When demand for a commodity increases or decreases due to the change in other factors like income or climatic condition, taste, etc., there is no change in price. There is absolutely no change in price, but demand rises because of changes in taste, consumers' income, climatic condition. This is what is called as increase in demand. Now understand this. Demand here, original demand price is OP. There is no change in price, and OQ is the demand. DD is the original demand curve. DD is the original demand curve. There is no change in price, but demand rises because consumers' income is rising, because taste of the consumer is changing, and demand is rising from Q to Q1. So new demand curve D1 D1. This is the new demand curve. Point A to B shows increase in demand. Price remains the same, no change in price. But demand rises from Q to Q1. It is called as increase in demand. The new demand curve is D1 D1. So demand curve is shifting to the right hand side, shows the increase in demand. Now let us understand decrease in demand. It refers to the decrease in quantity demanded because of the unfavorable changes in the factors like taste, income of the consumer, climatic condition, etc. Price remains the constant. Understand the diagram. Here OP is the price, there is no change in price, and OQ is the demand. OP is the price, OQ is the original demand, and DD is the original demand curve. There is absolutely no change in price, but demand falls because of other things like taste, income, or climatic condition, government's policy. Demand falls from Q to Q1, and demand curve shifts to the left hand side as D2 D2. So point A to B shows decrease in demand. Decrease in demand. So in increase in demand, demand curve is shifting to the right hand side. In decrease in demand curve is shifting to the left hand side. And in the expansion and contraction, the demand curve remains the same. There is no change in demand curve, only the upward movement and the downward movement. Upward movement is called as contraction, and downward movement is called as expansion. This is what you have to understand. So variation is expansion and contraction, and changes is increase and decrease in demand. Students, understand one thing, the question can be distinguish between expansion of demand and increase in demand, or contraction in demand and decrease in demand, or distinguish between expansion and contraction and increase and decrease in demand. Here you have to view all the 4 diagrams. When the question will be there, distinguish between contraction of demand and decrease in demand, then 2 diagrams you have to give. So this is very, very important and very simple to understand. Here this demand analysis topic, the topic number is 3A, is over. I divided it into 5 parts for the sake of convenience, and I hope that every point is understood. Thank you very much, students. I wish you a great luck.